happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics. And today we've got a reaction to Robbie Williams and his album Life Through a Lens, brought to us by a friend, longtime supporter, and patron of the channel, Iain. Thank you, Iain. Appreciate you. Appreciate all the patrons who make this thing go. If you'd like to support us in any way, check out that Patreon link below or the Patron link on the end screen. We could not do it without the patrons. They program 95% of this channel. All right. My experience with Robbie is I love the album Escapology that's released here in the U.S. I'm in the U.S., and then Robbie never did anything here in the U.S. And I watched this Netflix documentary. Always been fascinated by Robbie. Always been a fan from afar. Last year I put up a Take That top 10, followed by a Robbie Williams top 10 that one of our other patrons, Richard, did. Super enjoyed those. And yeah, I mean, Robbie's fascinating because he lived in the U.S. for a while. No one knows who he is at all here, and he's like incredibly famous everywhere else, and one of the most successful artists of all time in the music business. So I know those things about him. Well, let's jump into this. Iain said, I was listening to the film reviews of The Better Man, which is a movie about Robbie's life, but he's not a human in it. He's a monkey. Didn't do well here in the U.S. I don't know how it's doing everywhere else. I know the critics kind of liked it, but I'll watch it when it comes on streaming. But biopic of Robbie Williams being released over Christmas made me think back with 90s nostalgia to Robbie's premiere solo album. He was famously exiting rehab and struggling with the post-Take That fallout. And without the songwriting talents of Gary Barlow with his 15 number one singles, it looked like it might all go wrong. Robbie Williams, despite being a heartthrob in boy band Take That, had his eye on a solo career. It started okay with the number 2 single covering Freedom by George Michael, which, by the way, the George Michael version in the UK was stuck in the 20s. But this was more a continuation of his pop career. It wasn't bad, but wasn't brilliant. He was about to have an image reboot fueled by the Brit pop vibe of the mid-90s. Life Through a Lens was the result of a songwriting collaboration with Guy Chambers, and after 3 singles with no UK number ones, the album looked like it might be a relative flop, making it only to number 11, despite reasonably positive reviews. 27 weeks later, the single Angels was released and the album topped the charts, now selling more than 4 million copies worldwide, but mostly in the UK. I found, though, it never sold more than 60,000 copies in a single week. It's his 4th best-selling album and 5th bestseller when considering greatest hits from 2004. That is the end of Iain's facts, and I didn't find anything outside of those facts. Iain summed it up quite well. So if you haven't been with us before, check out the Vimeo link down below. And we'll have all the music there. You can watch along with us. I have this Vimeo thing up here to remind you, but the link is down below. Go check it out. Let's kick this thing off with the album opener, Lazy Days. Iain says, as Sean often says, the first song on a debut album sets how the band or the record company want the band to be perceived and is a big statement. This song says Britpop all over and is pretty good. 8 out of 10. Iain rates every song. I love it. I found second single, went to 8 in the UK. According to Robbie, the song was about being young, optimistic about the future, and not afraid of committing mistakes. He explained that Lazy Days was a song previously written by Guy Chambers, his songwriting collaborator, during his spell in the Britpop band The Lemon Trees. Williams thought it was an amazing song, but made some changes on the lyrics, including hooks and arrangement and music. Robbie took a day out of rehab. He was in rehab at the time to shoot the music video for the song and explained it was, quote, a bonkers video because that's how my head was at the time, I think. All right, well, we're going to watch the video for this and a few other songs. I'm going to have the lyrics up, not during the video, but out for the other songs. Thanks again, Iain. All right, Lazy Days, a very enjoyable song. The video, not a lot to it, a little odd, but I'd like to be at that mansion that they're at. That look like a cool spread, but you know, it's Robbie and it's good, it's catchy. So good way to start the album out. Next up, we got the title track, Life Through a Lens. Iain says some clever lyrics and top-notch production. The title track takes it up another level. Should have been the 3rd single rather than the rather dull South of the Border, which we'll get to in a little bit. 8.5 out of 10. I found it was written about then-girlfriend Jacqueline Hamilton Smith, who was a socialite, is often mistakenly attributed to Tara Palmer Tompkinson, but they did not date until 2006. Means nothing to me, but it may mean something to you. All right, Life Through a Lens. Another really good song. Catchy. Taking some shots at the upper class. In the pre-chorus, just because I ain't double-barreled don't mean I haven't traveled well, can't you tell? So the idea of the surnames being 2, you know, in the richer upper class of the UK. And he takes several shots at them. But yeah, it's a really good song. And he was obviously living his life through a lens from the time he was 16 years old when he got into Take That. All right, next up, we got Ego, a Go-Go. Iain says an autobiographical song, maybe aimed at people who were scoffing at the former boy band Heartthrob making a, quote, serious album. Another 8.5 out of 10. All right, Ego, A Go-Go. This is a lot of this is an attack against Gary Barlow, everybody feels. And Robbie said back then about the song, this is about people who get you down. You know the sort. If they're having a bad time themselves and make you suffer to make themselves feel better. The song says, get lost to them. This song is, I don't appreciate it as much as I would if I was A, listening to it during the time period, and B, from the UK where I understood this and like this, what a huge deal this was. So this is way after the fact, but thought it was a good song. All right, and here we go. In the opening video we watched for Lazy Days, Robbie was laying down in the field with some angel wings. So as a precursor to this, right, we got angels. Iain says, one of those classics that Robbie delivers with great power and personality, epic guitar solo, and powerful orchestral arrangement, allegedly based on an earlier song by Ray Hefferman, that's a whole nother story, and drunken demo recorded with Williams in Dublin. Both still claim authorship and both recognize Guy Chambers' major input to turn it into a classic. Before this song was released, Robbie gave Ray £7,500 just to make sure this wasn't going to be an issue. Only made it to number 4 in the UK, which is shocking to me. 2 in Ireland. It's been a slow burner, selling almost 2 million copies. Released later in 1999 in the US, making it to number 54, Robbie's highest charting US single. Iain gives us a perfect score, a 10 out of 10. I'll get to that in a minute. I found it's his best-selling single, 34th best-selling UK single of the 90s. It was voted the best song of the previous 25 years at the 2005 Brit Awards. And in 2005, the British voted it the song they most wanted played at their funeral. So here's the thing with this song. I know if you live in the UK, you're sick of it. I read how it's just so huge there still. It's played all the time, played in stores, wherever you're walking around. I get all that. But this song is a 10 out of 10. Like Ian's 100% right. This would be in my top 100 songs of all time, no doubt. And I knew it before. I definitely knew it before I did the Robbie Williams top 10 last year. But I will tell you how much I love this song. This song was number 16 on my Spotify top 100 songs of last year that I listened to. So that tells you how much I like this song. We're going to watch the video, and I actually don't think I've ever seen the video. So let's check it out. All right, Angels. Not a lot to the video. He's walking around. He's playing a little football. He gets to hang out and hook up with a hot girl and hang out on the beach. So I think it's a very underrated vocal performance because I think he just knocks it out of the park. And I don't think a lot of people could. And this shows off that vocal ability that I don't think, at least in my side of the world, he gets enough credit for. But I mean, this song's fantastic. And I realize, though, if you're watching this in the UK, you're like, dude, I am so sick of this song. I get it. I got songs that way that are fantastic that I never want to hear again. But this song is absolutely outstanding. There's no way to follow up Angels, but something has to unless they put it last, and they didn't. So we got South of the Border. Iain says, weakest of the singles, and releases the third from the album. Relative flop, getting only to number 14, and things were looking dicey for Robbie's solo career at this point. But the next single, the one we just listened to, Angels, came to the rescue. I found his only single to miss the top 10 until Sen Sen Sen, all the way up in 2006. This was the only Life Through a Lens single that did not appear on his greatest hits album in 2004 as well. So both those things back up Ian's point. According to his homepage, at the last second, Robbie's changed his mind and made this the single. This explains why the video is uncohesive and mostly a performance shoot. He stated the song was inspired by Kate Moss, giving way to the opening line, "I know a freaky young lady, name of cocaine, Katie." The line is changed to "No Shame, Katie" on the single version. Now, we're going to watch the video, so I don't know which one we're going to get here. After relatively few unknown songs parallel to Gary Barlow's career and South of the Border family, many thought that was the end of Robbie, as Iain alluded to. All right, South of the Border. That didn't seem like that was all of it. I mean, that was the official video, but it just cut off, and it was like a minute shorter than what the song is. But we did get "No Shame, Katie" instead of "Cocaine, Katie." But look, I'm 100% with Iain. I think this is the weakest song on this album. It's okay, I guess. Not really a big fan of it. But I guess there's two schools of thoughts here, right? If you follow an epic song like Angels, and they had to know that was an epic song when they did it. I didn't mention on there that Guy Chambers, his songwriting partner, Guy's dad was in the London Symphonic Orchestra, something of that nature. So he had a background in orchestral things. That's why Angels sounded like it did. But South of the Border, like maybe you put a song that's really weak after Angels, because if you put a really good song, it's still not going to seem as good. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with that with sequencing. Why Robbie chose it as single, I have no idea, but none of us are going to get things right 100% of the time. But as we get to almost the halfway point, we're going Old Before I Die. Also a video we're going to watch. Pretty good video and song. Iain says, second solo single and first from Life Through a Lens. Made it to, because remember, we had Freedom as his first solo single. Made it to 2 in the UK, 1 in Spain. It was a good choice to kick off his new Robbie image. Riding on the coattails of Oasis and the Britpop 60s revival seemed to be working out, an 8 out of 10. And Desmond Child was a co-writer on this with him, along with Eric Bazilia. All right, Old Before I Die. Had some older rockers back there. I don't know if they are, they're somebody, but I don't know if they're anybody famous or not. But, enjoy that one. Different sound, more guitar work, more, quote, rockin'. So Iain kind of broke that down well with the Britpop influence and that sort of stuff in there. But good song, except we got One of God's Better People. Iain says a more chilled song with a nice stripped back acoustic arrangement. 7.5 out of 10. One of God's Better People. Nice lyricism on here. It's kind of self-explanatory. He's just writing his affection for this person. Interesting sequencing in that it comes after Old Before I Die, which is much more guitar-driven and rocking than most of Robbie's stuff. And this is way dialed back. And it's kind of sandwiched between the rocker and then an absolute banger. Our next track, Let Me Entertain You. Iain says, fantastic video displaying the playful Robbie Williams with a pretty good song and final single, making it to number 3, but didn't have the slow burn sales of Angels. Still a good song and a playful challenge to the boy band image, 8.5 out of 10. I found that Williams and Chambers were inspired to write a Who-esque song after watching the Rolling Stones film Rock and Roll Circus together. Robbie said, quote, when we started writing the demo, there was a furious jungle beat underneath it. It was so hardcore, it got me very excited, and I still get excited listening to it now. It's not really heavy metal, it's more like camp rock opera. The lyrics are mostly innuendos and double entendres, telling the story of a man trying to persuade someone to cheat on their boyfriend with him. Although the sex of this person is never mentioned, they are addressed mon cher, which means my dear, only when referring to a male. In a 2010 interview, Robbie was quoted as saying, quote, an awful lot of gay pop stars pretend to be straight. I'm going to start a movement of straight pop stars pretending to be gay. In this video, they're going to dress up kind of like Kiss. Robbie wears makeup very similar to Gene Simmons' onstage persona, the Demon, while the outfit Williams wears is nearly identical to a stage costume worn by Simmons' bandmate, Paul Stanley. So there is that little build up to this video. Let's do it. All right, Let Me Entertain You. And Robbie definitely entertained us, right? We had everything on here. Probably a super fun video to shoot, right? He was all over the stage. We even get the stripper poles at the end. We have everything on this thing, but a really fun song. So much energy throughout it. You just feel it. I know that he started off his live shows like this for a long time. He still may. I don't know, but I know this was the concert opener, and it well should be. All right, we got 3 tracks left, plus a hidden track, which isn't really a song, but I'll get to that in a minute. But we got Killing Me. Iain says, an okay song. Doesn't have any hooks to pull me in. Probably the worst song on the album, 7 out of 10. Okay, Killing Me. I can see why Iain thinks it's the weakest song, or I think South of the Border. It's just because it's such an understated song. I think it's a really good vocal performance for Robbie, though. I think he takes you through the emotions in a subtle way. He doesn't go over the top, but I think it's a good vocal performance. So I don't mind the song at all. I actually think it's pretty good. I like in the chorus, there's a time when we were fine and I could tolerate you. I do believe that you should leave because I've grown to hate you. Should I be weak and turn my cheek because I'm scared to fall? But I just don't know you and you don't know me at all. Pretty good lyricism on here. All right, next up we have Clean, which is written by Robbie, Anthony Ginn, Martin Slattery, and Richard Hawley. Iain says, nice song reflecting on being off the drink and drugs, upbeat melody, and enjoyable lyrics, 8 out of 10. All right, Clean, a little Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band vibe there at the end. It's fine. I think it's one of the weakest songs on here, but it's got a little catchy, I'm clean, yeah. Ironically enough, Robbie said this about the song. I wrote this when I had a bit too much to drink around a piano in Germany. It's about me cleaning up my act. It's just funny to me, man. I'm going to write and sing in this great catchy chorus about cleaning up while I'm drunk. But hey, man, it worked for him. And now we come to the last track. You see it below, Baby Girl Window. Iain says, a sweet and sentimental song to end the album, a relaxing ending. Quite a varied album, except for the ubiquitous hidden track, which we will get to in a second. And you'll see it scrolling with that down below, but we're going to actually watch a video for the hidden track, so I'll come back for that. All right, Baby Girl Window. You see we stopped at 3:12 with silence. There's still 10:57 left, and the hidden track's only like a minute and a half or somewhere in that neighborhood. So this is what we did back then. I don't know why. He just did. Well-written song. I found it's a tribute to his former girlfriend, actress Samantha Beckinsale's father, Richard Beckinsale, who had died of a heart attack in his sleep when he was very young. And so that's kind of how this song unfolds. I think it's a, for lack of a better word, it's a sweet song. It's really well done. And a good way to finish the album out in just kind of a chilled manner. I mean, sort of. We got this hidden track, but it's not really a hidden track. It is a hidden poem. Hello, Sir. That's the name of it. Iain says it's reflexionally not a song or second-rate song part that wouldn't justify itself as a B-side, but it's a poem that's worth a listen/watch. Rounds out the album nicely and is obviously heartfelt. I'm not sure how to rate it, so I won't. So we're going to watch the video for this. I love it, man. He's taking a dig at one of his former teachers who told me never be anything. And I think a lot of us have had teachers like that who inspired us, and teachers who were just flat out horrible teachers, coaches, whatever it may be. And you want that chance to go back and tell them, hey, look at me. Not that it really matters, but you just want to tell them. But Robbie had a unique stage to be able to do this and platform to do this. And that was fantastic. And the fact that he sat there and was able to do it in video made it all the more powerful, way more powerful. But a super interesting way to finish off your debut album. It's like, I'm going to get this. Wait a minute, guys. I got one more thing I'm going to get this shot in at this guy. All right, now let's get to my favorite tracks. Honorable mention, the title track, Life Through a Lens. Faves are going to be Lazy Days, Old Before I Die, Let Me Entertain You, and Angels. I know it's not dramatic, wondering what I was going to choose, but hey, it is what it is. Before I get to my final grade, let's get Iain's final thoughts. He said, I so wanted to hate the album at the time in my late teenage years. Robbie Williams was someone I associated with manufactured pop boy bands that my little sister would dance around the living room to. I could get that, man. I remember scoffing at its release with my mates down at the pub, but then I heard Angels and gave the album a chance, and I was a convert. Even with this massive bias at the time, I love this album. I mean, kudos to a younger Iain for even doing that, because most people would still be like, no, man, even if they like that song, I'm not going to do this. He said, Life Through a Lens feels highly produced. It is, and lacks a little soul, but as a first solo effort, it's surprisingly good, even if it feels like Britpop by the numbers at times. Robbie had cemented his place in the British psyche, whether you loved or hated him with his return. Everyone knew he was here to stay and was well on his way to being a national treasure. 8.25 and one of his better albums, Iain says. I thought I had some songs that were just okay, especially as the album finished out, but that's nothing new in albums of this era in the mid-90s, where we went for longer albums. Oh, this one isn't that long. It appears longer than it is because of the hidden track, but I'm still going to be at a strong 8.0 on this one. So let me know what you think down below. What are your favorite songs? I mean, some of them are way ups. I get it. Where do you rank this in Robbie's catalog? Thanks again to Iain for bringing this one. If you haven't already, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button down below, and check out that Patreon page. Until next time, guys, I will see you.